What is up YouTube? Jamie the Kid 00 here, coming back at you guys for what must have been the first time in kind of 5 or 6 months. This is going to be the deck profile of a deck that I took to the Brotherhood Regionals in South London yesterday. Yeah, it will have been yesterday now. I ended up going to, I believe, 187-man regional. I ended up taking 10th place, going 6-2, losing out in rounds 5 and rounds 6 and 8, unfortunately. There will probably be a recap video either separately, or I'll be putting my matchups in the description down below, as I used to do in some of my old videos. But I'm just going to dive straight into the deck. You can also see a video of this deck in action on Alinthia's channel, because I ended up receiving the round 4 feature match for the event. So I'm just going to dive right into the list. It's fairly standard. I've already established changes that I want to make. Very, very happy with this list. 56 of the cards in the deck, sorry, 55 of the cards in the deck. I'm absolutely overjoyed with it. I think it's amazing. There's just kind of 5 cards in the deck that I feel I should really change, that I wasn't really too happy with. So I'm going to separate this into monsters, spells, and traps, because this is a 60-card brick, and it's kind of hard to manage a 60-card brick, because you can see my 30-odd monster count is already kind of quite large for my little hands. So let's get started. I'm still wearing my wristband from the actual event. Random fact. So starting off, this was a 60 card, as the title will probably suggest. This is 60 cards Infernoid, Zoids, whatever people want to call it, lawn mowing, Infernoid. Infernoid is what I called it, and this is my lineup. The Infernoid engine is fairly standard, except I played one card that a lot of people haven't been playing, so I'll talk about that in a minute. So it was 3 Decatron. Sorry, my viewfinder is upside down, so placing cards is kind of awkward for me. Decatron was a card that I loved and hated in equal measure. In some hands, this used my normal summon up, and I was really unhappy with that, because I wanted to be using my normal summons for my my rapiers. But a lot of the time, this was really solid. Because I play the one Antra, this makes my Inferno Decatrons into another way to get into an Invoker. Simply because you can go Inferno Decatron, send Antra. This becomes a level 3. You can special summon one of your 3 Harmonics, and that's another way into Invoker. So it's just another combo play that I can make with that. So to talk about the one-offs, I played an Antra, and I played a Pimaze. Pimaze was actually really strong, just its ability to clear back row so that I could make combo plays. It's a level 1, so it's quite negligent. You don't have to worry about it using up all the levels you can use for your Infernoids. But the Antra was really a card that was really clutch, because you could make your Decatron, if you're going second, you could activate its effect as Antra to bounce a card on your opponent's side of the board anyway, and then it was a level 3 for your Harmonic, moving into which we played 3 copies of Harmonic. Harmonic was great, really useful in baiting out your opponent's Trident, in that you could just summon this guy for the cost of banishing 1 Infernoid, and it would demand answering, because of the fact that it could easily remove a Trident if it was just left to activate its own effect. So that'd usually burn up a Trident activation or a Solemn Strike activation and things like that. So it was a really good bait card. It was a free resource. It's just a 1 card in hand, and it was a special summon as well. So it was so useful throughout the event. Similarly with cards like Infernoid Patrulia, this was really useful in outing certain Floodgate cards, because you can just special summon it to the board, and it's an MST. It's essentially an MST effect. It outs barrages that were sitting on the board for long periods of time. Any other kind of long-standing spell traps that I really just didn't want to have there. It was also a card that you could just special summon out and activate its effect to destroy set back row that you really had a problem with kind of getting past. You didn't really want to commit your plays just yet, and it was level 4 to make your level 4 plays into cards like Broad Bull, which you can summon for 2 level 4s, and once you go into Tiger Mortar, you can start pulling stuff out of the graveyard. But I'll be here all day if I talk about those kind of plays. The one Infernoid suggest this card's effect was actually really nice anyway, but this card was mainly just in here to keep the Void Feast alive, Void Madness, or whatever it's called, the combo for 2 Decatrons and a Sajet. So that was really good. Then we're moving into the bigger stuff. 2 Infernoid Sightsumus and 2 Atondal. These guys were really good when I didn't have the big boys, but they were mainly just more fodder for the larger Infernoid bosses. And then speaking of which, I played double Deviati and 1 Anuku. I kind of wanted to play a second Anuku. There were a couple of situations where I had Void Imagination, and I wished I could have had the other Anuku. A lot of the time I ended up just having to special this back anyway and banish 3, and then Imagination for the rest of the cards so that I could use the Anuku off my field, but it was kind of awkward. I wished I had played 2, but at the same time, space was a problem. And the more Infernoids you play, the more potential you have to brick, especially if you cut spells in favor of them. So I felt like this Infernoid number was the maximum number of Infernoid monsters I wanted to play. I'd even consider kind of maybe cutting down, like I cut down a Harmodic and the 1 Antrim maybe, but I feel like this was the perfect number. But if you ask me for eliminations, that's what I'd eliminate. So that's the full Infernoid complement monster-wise. For the rest of the monsters, I played, of course, the Zoo engine. I played the minimal Zoo engine. I played 3 copies of Rapier and 1 copy of Whiptail. The 3 rats. Anyone who's in touch with the meta right now understands how ridiculous these cards are. It was absolutely obscene throughout the event. And I suppose another card that counts towards this complement was 1 copy of Takatomborg and the accompanying 3 copies of Speedroid Terratop I also played in the list. Just more ways to get into my Zoo combo turn 1. And the fact that Invoker Dryden was still only 7 stars, so you could also special summon back a Deviati if you've opened a lawn mowing to set up a graveyard and things like that. So it's absolutely unreal. The amount of combo plays you can bring out with Rapier were ridiculous. And honestly, the amount of different plays you can make with this, other than just kind of summoning Rapier, sending combo, and then making your guy and making an Emerald. There are so many other plays with this, and I really feel like this. I don't want to call this card healthy, but in a meta game where every single deck is playing this combination of cards, I actually think it's really healthy because it gives a lot more decks a lot more life, and it is an engine that almost everything can play in certain measures. And in certain decks like this one, where you can go into Bujente Kakatsuchi, I feel like this card it adds a lot to the meta. I actually really kind of like this meta game. I know that this is an engine that inherently shouldn't exist and is unhealthy for the game, but at the same time I kind of like it. So maybe I'm a bit weird with that, but I really do like its interactions with various decks in the meta game, and I'm definitely going to be coming back to you guys with some more deck profiles with some more kind of ostentatious stuff with that in there. Then for the other cards I played 2 Raiden. These are accompanied by 2 Charge of Light Brigade. These are 2 of the cards that I want to 100% cut. I hated them. I think they were just awful. They used up on normal summon. They were a bad reasoning target. They're just wholly unnecessary in the deck, so these have definitely come out. So I'm going to chuck them to one side because they are coming out as soon as this video is over. I then played 2 Fairy Tale Snow, absolutely invaluable. I almost wanted to play the 3rd, but I worried that they'd clog because normal summoning was drawing them was inherently bad, but normal summoning them really wasn't all that much of a problem. And then the last monster I played was 2 copies of Max C. People argue against this when you're playing Reason in Monster Gate, but I have to remind you, you're playing 60 card main deck, and a lot of the time even if you see this, you're reasoning through enough cards that you don't really have to worry too much. I thankfully never really saw this, but that's often because I didn't see Reasoning and Monster Gate very often, because if I didn't open them, they were almost always lawn mowing away. That was a card I saw. I almost always saw those 2 cards off of my lawn mowings. So I really didn't need this. Oh, sorry, that grass is greener, I think it's called in the English. In the TCG, I've not actually read the English card because I practiced it all on DevPro, and all the cards on DevPro have their images still with the Japanese names. Because that's the benefit of coming back into this game on Thursday before regionals and having only DevPro to test, because I couldn't actually get out and see anyone, and I got the cards the day before the event, which is great. So moving on into the spells and the traps, the other kind of 30 odd cards. I played 1 Raigeki. You kind of have to play this in this meta game because when you see this card, you kind of just have to bomb it off the field regularly. So the 1 Raigeki, the 1 for 1, this was really cool because if you had a dead Infernoid in hand anyway, you could just if you had a play, you could 1 for 1 out a Decatron, and you could just Decatron for a Patrulia if they had 1 back row, and you could just Patrulia away that back row, or you could Decatron for kind of Deviati if they had a Dryden. So it demand that they out the Decatron before it activated, because the moment the Decatron is on the board and has a Deviati effect on it, you're going to be able to negate a Dryden later on down the line when you try and make your combo plays. So 1 for 1 was really cool, but at the same time there were other situations where I really didn't like it because of the fact that I had to discard a monster. So it is the 5th card I'd consider. No. I don't even think I'd consider cutting this, actually. It's not even the 5th card. I've just seen the 5th card. So this card's kind of my 6th card that I'd consider cutting, but It was kind of the least valuable good card, if you will. But overall, I still absolutely adored this card. I then played the one Reasoning and the one Monster Gate, and that rounds off my kind of one-offs for non-kind of engine-specific cards. Reasoning, Monster Gate, just absolute powerhouses. But an important thing to note, which a lot of people kind of, including the commentary on the duel I was in, people seem to think that this card is something you should just slam down immediately. I kind of question that when you're playing a lawn mowing deck anyway, because I'm not a fan. I mean, don't get me wrong, if the play dictates it, then I'll Reasoning first, of course. This isn't a vacuum, this isn't a kind of an overriding statement. But if you've got this and Grass is Greener in your hand, in my opinion, you should 100% be able to activate the Grass is Greener before you activate this. Because you get to, if you activate this and mill 15 cards into your deck, potentially, 10 cards maybe, then you're bringing yourself so much closer to the amount of cards your opponent has in their deck, and you're inherently making your Grass is Greener worse. So I have no... I just really think this is a card that should be held a wee bit, rather than just slamming it down and then grassing afterwards, because I just think that's fundamentally incorrect, because you're just wasting so many mills. But some people talked about slamming it straight away. Maybe I'm missing something, you tell me. But that was the 4 that I play. As one-offs, 2 Charger Light Brigade, they're getting cut. That engine was just poor. 2 Fire Formation Tenki, this is the 5th card that's getting cut. There's no way I should have been playing more than one of this. The second one bricked all the time, so I just really wanted more way. I didn't have Into the Voids, that was the problem. I wanted to play Into the Void and Upstart Goblin, 3 Into the Void, 1 Upstart Goblin, in the place of the Charges, the Raiden, the Tenki, and of course I'd find another card to fill that in. But I didn't have those, so I had to find other ways to make the deck consistent, so I played 2 Tenki, but I'd really just cut it down to 1 now. 1's all you need. It was really nice. It has a nice interaction with Barrage, where you can blow up with Barrage, but otherwise, I'd go down to a 1-off on that. 3 Instant Fusion. I can't find any of my hollow ones, so I had to play these 3 common ones. I sold a lot of my high rarity stuff when I went on break, so you guys are going to have to deal with me being a bit of a budget-based YouTuber, except for the Zoo stuff now. Instant Fusion just unreal. The fact that it brings you into another combo piece. Once you've got your kind of, you'll often end with like Dryden Kagetsuchi. The Instant Fusion means that you can make the Emerald as well as that kind of play. So it brings you into a pretty strong board. I sided Roach, so a lot of the time if I played against another mirror, I would just make kind of Dryden Kagetsuchi Roach. And that was all I needed. That was where I needed to get myself to. And of course the Emerald, if you make the Dryden Emerald play, it brings you 1 card closer to the Instant Fusion, which is so important. 3 Zodiac Barrage. There's nothing much more to say about that. This card is unreal. Like this I feel is the broken card. I feel the rest of the Zoo stuff is kind of manageable, but this is the card that breaks it, and that's why it has such a high price tag. I suffice to say that you have to run 3 of them every time you run the Zoo core, but like it's just a staple. It's absolutely unreal. Similar staple, because we're playing 60 cards, is 3 copies of that Grass Looks Greener. This card is just unreal. Watch my feature match. I milled 25 cards. Minimum mills on this. I actually played this in the mirror because I had it in, of course, game 1. I played the mirror match, round 1 of the event. Ended up going, right, I've got a Harmonic... Oh, sorry, punched the table. I've got a Harmonic in hand. I really need to actually use that Harmonic to complete my play. My opponent is on 48 cards, I'm on 49. I just play that Grass Looks Greener, mill the 1 Infernoid, I need to summon the Harmonic, and I'm back in the game. But otherwise, if I resolve this, it was almost always at least for 17 cards. And to mill 17 cards in an Infernoid deck with Fairy Tail in the with Fairy Tail Snow in the list, that's absolutely obscene. This card is so broken, but of course it does dictate that you play a 60 card main, and of course it becomes bad if you play in the mirror match or people who are just playing larger decks. A lot of people have kind of stopped with the mentality of playing 40 cards exactly and playing Upstart Goblin. A lot of the people I played against were like, yeah, my main is 44, so that was an interesting thing. But yeah, 3 copies of Grass, absolutely unreal. This is the 4th, 5th, and 6th copy of Grass Looks Greener. I don't think I searched any other card all day with this. I think maybe I searched 1 copy of... No, I didn't search anything. I think I searched 1 copy of Barrage. I think I searched Barrage once, but Left Arm Offering was almost always for that Grass Looks Greener. And this wasn't even something that I often play turn 1. If I had valuable spell traps in hand, and it became a case of have a subpar turn, but at least you get to set your cards, I'd take that. Like, I would 100% take that, and then just left arm offering away a couple of bad cards, like maybe a Raiden and a bad Infernoid out of my hand. So left arm, absolutely obscene. And then for the last cards, the rest of this is just an Infernoid complement. Excuse me. I played one Void Seer. Void Seer, ridiculous Forbidden Lance card. Say no more. 2 Void Imagination. I never used its actual first effect where it like makes all your guys level 1. I always used it as the Shadol fusion. I summoned Infernoid Tierra more times than I care to admit for that event. So Imagination's great. You just bait out the Dryden and then the Tierra comes down, and all of a sudden your opponent is -3 cards in their extra deck. You're -3, but they're 3 good cards like another Infernoid Name and a Cyframe Lord Omega. And you're also milling a further 3 cards, which is absolutely ridiculous. Then there's 3 Void Vanishment. We basically played these for the purposes of searching for Void Feast. That's literally why this is in here. Otherwise, we were searching for Imagination on the odd occasion. But that was it. And then the last 2 cards I played, which were just 2 traps, was the Void Feast for the Decatron Sightsmith combo, because that's absolutely ridiculous. The fact that you can end with Trident, Emerald, or Trident. You can end with like Trident Roach. If it was game 2 in the mirror, you can end with like Trident Roach, a Spell Negate, a Monster Negate, and a DD Crow. That's obscene. Or you could end with a Destruction, you know, a Trident Emerald, or Trident Kagutsuchi, Negate, Crow. That's ridiculous. And then I played the Zodiac combo. Zodiac combo, really, really important for resetting your cards. You can mill it, you can send it off Rapier. Absolutely unreasonable. I don't understand how this is a card when the Emerald combo is already a thing. It basically lets you do your plays. It lets you do your Zodiac plays twice more. It lets you recycle them twice more. 3 Zodiac plays a game. Unreal. The core is, that whole engine is just ridiculous. So moving on to X-Rec. X-Rec was mega tight. I did want to play double Omega, but I just did not have the room. I basically admitted to myself that I was going to have to ditch. If I made Tierra, I was always going to have to ditch one card that that wasn't going to get me anywhere, and if I needed to, I'd Omega it back in a certain situation. Like, I'd keep the Omega in the grave until the situation in which I really, really required that as a response. So, moving into it, because we're already at the 17th minute, I played 2 Zodiac Trident. I always found the need for the second one. I doubted whether or not I'd need it because I played 1 of everything else. But 2 Trident was absolutely correct. I would never change this now because you'll always find yourself needing the second. You can recycle the other engine after they've all come out from under the Trident and you've just got the Whiptail under there. And it means you don't have to worry about recycling the Trident. You can let that one die. You can recycle your main engine. So usually like these 2 with a Rapier going back, or just this with a Rapier going back, with 2 Rapiers going back off the Emerald, and you don't have to worry because you can still go into the Trident. Then for the rest of the Zodiacs, I played the 1 Borbo, 1 Tiger Mortar, and 1 Broad Ball, the standard lineup for the Zoos. Then I played the Emerald, the standard for the play, Invoker, Kagutsuchi. It lets you mill an extra 5 after you lawn mowing, or it lets you mill 5 if you don't have a lawn mowing play. So it's just a really, really nice card to complement the whole aesthetic of the deck, the whole way that the deck works. 1 Castel the Sky Blaster Musketeer really came in clutch. Really ended up needing this card quite frequently. And then the Utopia package. This is probably a couple of cards that I cut. I never actually needed to make the Lightning. The Utopia came up a couple of times because I would instant fusion for it if I went kind of Trident. This was almost always game 2. If I went Trident Roach, I'd always want the Utopia because these were small. I'd always want the Utopia to be able to actually stop them dying by battle. So that was more how I used the Utopia than anything else. So that was that. And then the remainder of my extra deck was just 2 Infernoid Tierra. You would only really ever summon this one and then send the other one. But what you do is you then send an Omega and just whatever else you want to send from your extra deck. It was usually the Invoker if I hadn't needed to use it already. And then you'd let this sit, and if you needed to Imagination again, you could Omega this back into the extra, or if you didn't, you could just hold off on the Omega, put the Invoker back if you ended up needing it, or whatever like that. But it was important that you summon this and send these 2, and then send an irrelevant card. And then the last extra deck monster I played was Norden, but you already knew that when I was playing the Instant Fusion. Then for the side deck is something that I really didn't actually have any time to think about. I built it Saturday night before the event. I'm really bad at side decking, as people already know, so I need to work on that. But this is what I played, I'll just tell you. The Roach, he was probably the best card that I played, won me mirror matches. it didn't really affect my feature match, but I played it in the feature match and I feel it would have won me the game in many situations. Artifact Lanciers, again for the mirror match. For Zoo, I played, these were literally the only kaijus I had in the binder, Dogaran, Radian, Gamciel, and Gamciel. The only one in here that I think was actually truly relevant was Radian, because Radian was a 7, so it gives me room to still have a Peer Maze on the board. It lets me summon, it was just a better level to interact with my, my Infernoid engine, but that was it. And then it was the 3 interrupted kaiju slumbers, because you can mill these with lawn mowing and you can still add back the game CL. But yeah, that was that lot. And then I just played 2 Cosmic Cyclone and 2 Anti-Spell Fragrance. I feel like the Spell Fragrances were probably quite subpar, because now Metal Foe can Trident them away, but it's quite difficult to floodgate out Pendulum decks now that they have access to Trident. So that's the one unhealthy thing that I feel is a problem, because I feel like Pendulum is already a really, really broken mechanic, and being unable to really floodgate that out is a real problem. So guys, that brings me to about the end of this. As I said before at the event, I went 6-2 in Swiss, ended up coming 7th. I ended up coming 10th. There was no top cut, so unfortunately there's that. I think I got my invite. I never actually got that confirmed to me, so I still need to find out if I have my invitation. But otherwise, that brings me to about the end of the video. I hope you have all enjoyed. I am hoping to be able to make a comeback, not really to the same frequency of videos that I used to be at, but I definitely want to make a start in the game again. And I feel like this was a pretty strong start, having had 3 days to prepare for an event, going 6-2 in a brand new meta against certain decks that I'd completely missed out in a previous format. But yeah, let me know what you guys thought. Let me know any feedback that you want to add to this deck. And otherwise, I will see you guys in the next video. I hope you've all enjoyed. Leave this a like if you did. Subscribe if you're new and you want to see more of the same. Comment down below with your feedback, ideas, anything you want to say, that's as long as it's friendly. And share this with your friends if you think they benefit from it. I've been Jamie the Kid 00. You have been a wonderful audience as per usual. And I'll see you all very soon. Thank you for watching.